I would, but let's go ahead and get started. And starting on the classic reset, of course. This is required, I'm pretty sure, for the leaderboard rules, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, so you have to make sure that the BIOS files are shown if you're playing on emulator. That's to ensure accuracy of load times. By the way, you want to pause in 2 seconds. Okay, so you'll notice that Chewy just picked up a weapon drop here. This is the Basilard Manip. It used to be a frame perfect trick, and it was one of the most common reset points in the run. So you go for the frame perfect. It's 60 FPS game, very tough to time. Even the best runners get this, I think, a max of 50% of the time with a lot of practice. But, you know, it's pretty quick to reset, so not a huge deal. It's worth noting that recently, there's a new setup that Chewy's using here, so that when the zombies spawn in, they basically spawn into the spears, meaning it's no longer a timing thing, it's more about setup. So way more consistent, basically 100%.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Used to be frame perfect like a week ago. Now it's 100%. That's huge improvement.
That's huge because I've been like slowly learning bits and pieces of this category over like the last couple of months. And this was the biggest barrier to like actually getting started, was just hitting the frame perfect Basilard Manip at the start. That's huge.
I used to recommend that people learning this game for the first time would make a save state after Basilard just so they wouldn't get burnt out like you did. But now it's so much more accessible. So yeah, I feel you on that.
That's awesome. And I guess that whenever is most convenient to explain like the broad strokes of RNG manipulation in general in this game. I don't know if there's like a better time to bring it up. Maybe
let me actually think real quick.
Maybe on Creaking Skull.
Yeah, let's do a Creaking Skull. It's a fine one. It's a simple manip.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the main form of movement in this game is backdash canceling, and thankfully you get backdash right away. So in this next room, there's a canister. In the merman room, we'll have backdash, and this tech, it's not like in Soden, where you can like cancel it easily with another button press like a shield, and it's not like in Dawn where you want to quickly cancel. You want to like let the backdash ride a little bit. So you want to let it. It's like a Goldilocks situation. You want to have it linger, but not too long, or you lose speed.
Yeah, you basically want the speed from the backdash, but you just want to cancel out the slow end lag.
Exactly. Get the speed and then cancel out the slow part afterwards. All right, so Chewy's going to pause here and suspend. We can pause here if you want.
Sure.
Anytime you suspend and load the game, it starts you at a set point in the random number table. So if you do the same actions every time you load from a suspend, you'll get the same result. There is a singular exception to this, which is ectoplasm, which is a mystery to everyone, but every other drop an enemy in the game works this way. So what actions indicate, or what actions affect RNG? So I can give you a quick list. Attacking will burn random numbers. Backdashing will burn random numbers. Anything that brings up dust particles, for example, backdash or panther, will burn random numbers. For enemies, it depends. There are 3 kinds. Some enemies will burn random numbers every frame they're on screen. For other enemies, they'll burn random numbers depending on the attack, and some enemies will never burn random numbers. So there's a lot to keep track of. Some manips are obviously easier than others depending on which enemy you're trying to manipulate. So here, for example, we're going to be seeing, if you want to resume, I can just explain as we go.
Real quick, can you give me examples of like the 3 different types of enemies? Ones that change RNG on every frame, ones that depend on their attack, and then ones the third kind that I wasn't paying attention to.
So the Basilard Manip we saw earlier, zombies are an enemy type that shift the RNG every single frame. That's why that's frame perfect, because if you look at the RNG script, it's constantly changing every single frame. So zombies are an example of that type. We're going to be seeing a Manticore Manip later. Manticore is an enemy that varies depending on attack and positioning. And then Lubricant is an enemy that never burns random numbers.
Awesome. All right. And we're going to be seeing all 3 of those get manipped at some point in this run, I'm sure, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. So resuming, this is the RNG manip.
This is the RNG manip. So we got a couple of backdashes, some short hops. Oh, if you want to pause real quick, not to get too far into the weeds, but when it comes to backdashes, one of the other reasons you want to get your timing down, if you cancel too early, you won't burn as many random numbers. A full backdash burns 3. If you accidentally cut it too short, you can burn 2 or even 1, which totally throws off the map. So they need to be full backdashes.
So yeah, you're not just backdashing for movement, you're also backdashing because it's required for some of these RNG setups to do it properly.
Exactly right.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, and then this is the actual Creaking Skull. This is the first boss of the game. Usually, not a difficult boss by any means, and the Bastillard also helps with the damage, right?
This is a very easy boss, but it's got one of the absolute best souls in the game. Some would say the best Guardian soul in the game, the best blue soul. So getting it this early is super helpful for all combat throughout the remainder of the run. However, the drop rate is quite low, so you got to manipulate it. You can't just rely on good luck here. Bastillard helps a ton, and we're also going to see some winged skeleton spears deal some extra damage.
Yeah, I remember.
It's going to be done.
Oh, I was going to say, I remember way back in the day, there was, I think it was the RNG manip stuff was like first coming out with Creaking Skull, but there was always the like, oh, don't worry about it. It's, there's other ways to beat the game. It doesn't even save that much time because they didn't optimize the Creaking Skull route 100%. But there was still some strats that people did in case they got it as like a random drop. But I never understood, like, I never got this as a random drop when I was playing the game casually, like ever.
Yeah, like 2015 Aria was hilarious. I think it would have been a terrible game to run. I got into this in 2019, so that was well before my time. Mm-hmm. But I'm aware of like what they would do. It was just pray for good luck. The strats were like use Blue Crow or Skeleton on Great Armor. These are just super low tier souls. But because there were no manipulations, you couldn't rely on Creaking Skull or Manticore. Mm-hmm. So it was a totally different and much slower meta.
Yeah, the RNG manip is going to prove itself to be very powerful, I'm sure. So I guess we can go ahead and watch the fight now.
Yeah, we can resume here. Just keep in mind all of these spear throws from Chewie have to be very precise to get the manip correct.
All right, let's see it. Oh, that's interesting. We didn't even see the soul come out.
Yeah, this is some new school stuff. You'll notice that the screen kind of glitches up here. It's a soul collection and a level up on the same frame.
Oh, wow. Look at that. That's really interesting. Yeah, that's very different from the setups that I've seen. So this is a lot of new stuff for me, too. That's awesome.
Ultimately, this doesn't save a huge amount of time, but given Chewie's going for a sub 11 here, every second counts. Now, okay, important moment here. Very important. This is why I will never speedrun this category again. I blame Brooke for this, but look, it's good for the category. I can't stand it. There's a big trick coming up. This is not new. This has been known about for years and years, but it was implemented in a speedruns for the first time like 9 months ago. Normally, you're supposed to go down after Creaking Skull to pick up Flying Armor, which is a soul that lets you glide in the air a little bit, gives you a little bit more horizontal distance. You don't, strictly speaking, need it. So if you go up, it saves between 20 and 25 seconds. The downside is you have to rely on a sub-pixel perfect trick to get across a gap.
I don't know how to explain subpixels in a succinct way to the people watching at home, but it's very, very precise. Like, if you think pixel perfect is, it is what it sounds like. You have to deal with like precision to like a decimal point of precise.
Yeah, it's pixel perfect with a rounding potential. So it could round to the wrong pixel and totally throw off the trick.
Yeah, the best way to think about it is even if you perform it perfectly, if your subpixels aren't correct, it just doesn't work. So there are scenarios where you perform it frame perfectly and it still fails.
2 layers of precision.
Yep.
And this is just a massive reset point. Like when I was doing attempts, people have developed better setups since. But when I was doing attempts of this like half a year ago, my consistency was between 5 and 15%, depending on the day. And this is like 2 minutes into a run that's got a lot more RNG manipulations afterwards. So it's a brutal bottleneck, I think.
Oh, yeah. Ouchies.
So yeah, keep it in mind. I'll point it out when we get there. Mm-hmm. For now, this is all going to be pretty standard stuff.
I love how clean the movement is.
Here, this part's not too bad. You just want to backdash, let the momentum carry you, and you can get over that longer jump without flying armor. Also get up here without flying armor. we used to grab some of these safety potions, but much like in a game like Super Metroid, it's gotten so optimized, you've got to skip out as much optional stuff as you can.
Just don't get hit.
Or don't get. We're gonna be seeing this category is the definition of don't get hit later on.
I mean, get hit when you need to, which I'm assuming we're going to need to get hit.
So here's the setup from Chewie here. You kind of pause, you take some damage, and that was it. That jump right there. I say let's watch that a second time.
Oh, absolutely. Let's watch with the whole setup.
I cannot stress how impossible this jump is.
So I'm guessing
Brooke found this 3 years ago. It saves 25 seconds. Brooke absolutely refused to even consider implementing it.
Because I imagine like even this setup requires like you to be standing in the correct position, so that way the timing. Because I imagine you're buffering the walk out of that damage there, so that needs to be precise. And then so even then, Chewie did also do like a little stutter right there too to like time it.
Yeah, you got to delay, you got to watch the axis momentum, and it's not even just a sub-pixel perfect. It's a sub-pixel perfect extended backdash jump, which is not a simple input. So this category, you don't have to go for this trick unless you want to compete for the top time.
Wow.
I think this is the roughest part of the run, but we're going to see plenty more later.
The alternative would be that you do the little detour to get the flying armor, and then you just do the flying armor version of this jump.
Yeah, you eat the 25 seconds, grab flying armor, and then here, it's still tough. You got to do an extended backdash, but you don't have to damage boost.
Gotcha. So this is like required if you want world record, but if you just want to speedrun the game and have fun, you don't have to do this.
Yeah, like exactly. So my PB, for example, is an 11:29. And the record time now is going to be a 10:57. You could actually get second place without flying armor skip. It would definitely be possible. It'd be tough, but it'd be doable. If you want to get record, though, you have to go for this.
Yeah.
So unless you're going for the absolute #1 time, this isn't strictly necessary. The thing is, though, the run gets really tough from here. So it's nice to have that 25 seconds to spend later on, you know?
Yeah. So far, this has been great, and we're coming up on the first zip. So if you want to
it's kind of funny. This trick, by comparison to all the new stuff, is just trivial. It used to be a big deal. But yeah, we're going to zip on the cow, go out of bounds. You backdash. It's easier than it looks. You hit the guy, you backdash right when he's turning around. It's a very generous window. It's like 10 frames. And here we are. We're in chapel just like that.
Yeah, I do remember that the out of bounds movement there is a little precise depending on your positioning. You can easily get zipped into the wrong area, but... And right away, I do know that this is another manipulation happening here.
This is a manipulation that spans 2 rooms. You go down, and then this one is, again, a newer setup, but there are like 10 Manticore setups at this point, and they're all roughly equivalent. It's mostly down to preference. I think this one's slightly faster. But let's watch that again. I can point out some things.
Sure.
So we're using Creaking Skull. We're going to be seeing this a lot in the future. The only thing to keep in mind with Manticore is that you have to time your hits correctly. You also have to make sure you're not too close or too far, because positioning can influence the attack you get, which will burn different random numbers.
Yeah, that I've sat down and I've tried to learn this manip, or a version of this manip, and it is so precise on so many like small details, like the timing of your jump slashes, the timing of your backdash, the positioning after your backdash, when to cancel it, like all that stuff like matters. And it's crazy to see like how consistent like the top runners are at getting this.
Yeah, even smaller things like falling through the platform there at the right time. It's easy to take this all for granted, but yeah, there's a lot of small details you have to get right or the manipulation will fail.
And this manipulation's only possible with Creaking Skull, I'm pretty sure, right? Like you just can't like reasonably try and manipulate this guy doing like a normal fight.
Reasonably. Like I've tried to find like a backup manip if you don't have Creaking Skull. It's just not worth it. The fight's so much slower. So yeah, reasonably you need this.
Yeah, because it's doing massive amounts of damage, and I guess in general, like the faster you're able to kill something, the less you have to worry about manipulating it, like different stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Manticore.
Yeah, I was going to ask, why is Manticore so important for the speedrun?
It's really interesting because if you've played this game casually, you know that from that chapel warp, you can just go to the left and not even fight Manticore. So we intentionally elect to fight an optional boss at this point. That's how quick it is. This soul, even back before the new Manticore zip was incorporated, it still saved time. It was worth fighting the boss. That was just the time loss because of how good this soul is. It saves an insane amount of time for movement, saves an insane amount of time for combat. One of the very best souls in the whole game. What it does, it transforms Soma into a demon. It's neutral element, so nothing resists it. It's reasonably cheap on MP considering the sheer DPS. We'll get a chance to watch it in action on this next boss, but yeah, just keep in mind, it's not only good for combat, it's also good for moving around quicker.
This is another great use of Creaking Skull, is just to like help clear rooms faster too.
There is a small amount of experience management in this run, but it's really not important. It's kind of like the Soden experience management at the start of any percent.
Mm-hmm.
You just make sure to kill the things that are on your way and avoid certain enemies.
That makes sense, yeah. Just to avoid having extra level ups that, you know, freeze the screen and keep you from doing stuff.
Yeah, even more than that, if you're at the wrong level, manipulations won't work.
Oh, that makes sense because your stats
So
would be
unlike in
wrong.
Soden where it's a small time save, here it's a run killer, yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, check this out. In this room,
hold on, I just wanted to point this out. Was this a like land lag? Like when you go into that lag from landing, you cancel that by quickly tapping the Manticore soul? That's so cool. I didn't know you could do that.
Manticore it has built-in landing lag cancel. A lot of souls have that, but Manticore, we're going to be using it anyway, so it's very convenient. No matter how far of a height you fall from, you just tap R for 1 frame, it totally cancels it.
That is so neat. That's one of those small things that I think is so neat about speedrunning. Seeing those tiny little optimizations sometimes is just as unique and interesting as like the huge overall time save stuff. And this is Manticore.
Yeah, just a monster of a soul. Cleared out that room. It's faster by far than walking around. The only downside is it does drain your MP bar. So that's why Chewy here is focusing on MP management, breaking these candles for MP for the boss fight coming up.
That makes sense.
A couple of big hearts in this room, for example. This is a great strat. Check this out.
Oh, wow. And just like that.
That's best RNG. Do I didn't even remember that's best RNG on Great Armor. Can we watch that one more time?
Yeah, of course.
I just wanted to point out at the start of the fight here, you'll see 2 attacks and then it's a backdash canceled by Manticore. So you only get a small amount of that backdash distance. So you're in the perfect position to dodge the attack and get the triple hits on Manticore.
Yeah, and that ate up pretty much the entire MP bar. But I mean, your goal is to kill the boss as fast as possible, so you have like perfect MP management there. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, you just compare your options. A single Bastard hit was doing 18. Triple hit Manticore was doing over 300. And that boss has got 650 HP total, so yeah, it's huge.
And right there, we just got the Hippogriff Soul, which is the double jump ability.
Oh yeah, Malphus.
Malphus. I said Hippogriff.
Soten fans might know it as the Karasuman Soul.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Sorry. No, Hippogriff is the flight one. I forgot.
You know what's interesting? The next potential major reroute for this category is skip all of study, don't get double jump. It's possible that will happen. The only reason we came all the way down here for double jump is for a single room that we can't get up with single jump only. So if you ever find a way to like zip up there somehow, you're gonna be able to skip this. It's gonna save like 2 minutes.
Wow. And this game's already, you know, so short in comparison.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah, I think when I first started looking into the speedrun for Aria of Sorrow, like way back in like 2015, 2016, I think the record was like 15 minutes or something like that. For it to get all the way under 11 is crazy.
Yeah, the past like kind of 3-4 years of Aria speedrunning, it's been really a big improvement overall. A lot of new strats. It's been a community effort. But I didn't think that sub 11 was going to happen. Now, this right here is an innovation from 2022. We used to warp back to entrance.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You'll notice, this might look a little different if you haven't seen an Aria speedrun in a while. You want to hit that save. That's not a safety save. You need the MP, and you need the healing. So what we're going to be doing here is going to this big room, the Belfry room, and you can zip out of bounds here with Manticore. Normally you need bats for most zips. But this room is one of the rooms where Manticore can also work.
So this is going to be a similar idea to how we zipped into the chapel area in the first place using the cow.
Yeah, the Manticore transformation just a little too big. The game gets confused, of course.
Okay,
yeah, bounce.
That makes a lot of sense. Seeing it in action, it's too big. There's a solid object above you. The game is trying to push you out of that solid object. The way it does that is just by pushing you out of bounds, unfortunately. And those kinds of like ways that the game tries to it's basically abusing the out of bounds prevention system to actually push you out of bounds, because those kinds of the way that you code collision in video games usually is like you apply a force to the player to keep them in bounds, but this is an example of taking advantage of that, it seems.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And by going out of bounds, can we explain
you end up here
why you end up here? Because I've played this game a few times, and I'm pretty sure the chapel is not connected to the reservoir.
No. You know, when it comes to out of bounds in this game, there's no real rhyme or reason to it. The castle is, of course, a creature of chaos, and when they're making this game, the out-of-bound connection points don't make any sense. Sometimes they'll take you to areas that are adjacent, ones that you would expect. Sometimes they'll take you to places that are just totally off the map. And sometimes you'll get soft lock because the game doesn't put you anywhere. So it just depends. The only way to get a good feel for it is to memorize all of the possible out-of-bounds locations. Like when I was doing, this is back in 2020, I was doing a major all bosses reroute, which is very zip heavy. Mm-hmm. I just made a spreadsheet for myself with every possible zip entry location. So like this room, if I go to the left out of bounds, it takes me here. If I go to the top left corner, it takes me here. If I go to the right, it takes me here, and so on. So it's just all about trial and error.
Yeah, the way that it was explained to me, and granted this is a long time ago, so the explanation might not be 100% accurate, is essentially like the transition points on the ends of screens exist everywhere on the screen. It's just that the ones that are coded to take you to the right room are just the ones that are like accessible normally from inbounds. So if you go through a door transition, the game is coded properly to send you to the next room that it's supposed to be. However, those transitions exist everywhere on the screen. It's just that they send you to arbitrary locations in game data, and some of those are actual locations that exist in the map, and then some of those just crash the game because it's out of like the game's memory area, if that makes sense.
Arbitrary is, I think, the word to use here.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason, because why would there be, right? They didn't expect you to manticore through the walls, so it's you got to be cautious when navigating out of bounds for that reason.
Yeah, so you could either end up exactly where you need to be, or you end up crashing your game if you're slightly off.
Now this pudding room right here is the one reason we need Malphus. The pudding has stymied us. If we could jump up on that platform with a single jump, that one right there.
This tiny little platform right here.
That tiny little platform is the one reason we have to go all the way down to study.
Because all of these other jumps are possible to perform with just a single jump, it seems.
To my understanding, yeah. Now, I think that if there are other ones, if you zip up to the top, oh no, that one as well, actually. So
okay.
If you were to zip up all the way on the left side, right underneath Soma, like if you could get out of bounds and zip up there, then you definitely would not need Malphus anymore.
Interesting.
Because from here, yeah, with Arena, there's going to be some platforms coming up that look like you need double jump. You can actually damage boost up. And speaking of damage boosts, that's what we got to talk about next here. This is the Arena. This is the toughest room in the game. This is the gargoyle room. Keep in mind, we're super underleveled right now. This is towards the end of the game, and we're supposed to be going to like inner quarters and dance hall right now. You know, kind of mid-game areas.
Yeah, you're probably like level 6, 7, 8-ish right now.
Yeah,
I would
in that
guess.
ballpark.
Yeah. Versus this is an area you're supposed to be like almost level 30 or something like that. Getting to this point, this is like end game stuff, like 20, 30. Somewhere around there.
Now, this room has got many different setups to it, and different runners have different setups. It's mostly about preference, but that's a perfect gargoyle room.
Wow, I do want to watch that again, because all of this damage is like routed out to help you get through the room, I assume.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a fairly aggressive strat there. I like that jump where it's like the straight up jump to avoid that gargoyle towards the end.
Yeah, this is definitely an example
Actually,
of using your HP as like a resource where it's like you're intentionally taking damage to get the iframes to get through fast without like
yeah,
dying.
let's watch that one more time. I think I noticed something.
Hmm.
Yeah, so the beam skeletons here, I forgot to talk about this. They're random. So you have to react to different patterns on the beam skeletons, which can throw off how you manipulate the gargoyles.
Wow, that is crazy.
Room is just kind of a mess.
Yeah, and
So
to
yeah,
see it
that is as good as you're going to see that room.
wow. Yeah, Chewie himself in chat saying these beam skeletons suck. Yeah, I could see it.
This damage boost here is intentional. You'll notice that Chewie is intentionally getting his HP lower. Now, why is that?
Yeah, very much. That's a big think emoji for me.
A streamer. Hang on. Let's go back. I think I noticed an error.
Uh-oh. Roasting the world record right here and now. World record isn't literally perfect the whole way through? What?
Hang on. Let's see that killer mantle hit. Ooh, that's fine. That's fine. And I think Chewie wants that MP anyway.
Makes sense, makes sense.
Yeah, now this is the perfect HP value. There is a soul in this game called the Lubricant Soul. And this is gonna, if you want to let me ramble for a moment here, we can pause.
This is the lubricant enemy on screen right now.
Yeah, it's a perfect pause spot. Yeah, this is the enemy whose soul we want to farm. It's a risk-reward soul where the lower your HP, the more your stats go up. Your strength, your int, even your defense, although we're in one-hit kill range here, so that part doesn't matter. But it's a big offensive boost. And it's a yellow soul, so you can equip Manticore plus Lubricant or Creaking Skull plus Lubricant at the same time. And it's not necessary to win the game. We're going to have Claim for the final boss, which is considered the second best weapon, maybe the best in the whole game. However, it is faster. So for the sheer sake of saving a little bit of extra time, we're going to be in one-hit kill territory for the remainder of the run. Isn't that nice?
That is some speedrun. That is like classic speedrunning stuff where you have to put yourself at risk of constantly on the edge of failure in order to save just a little bit of time. So
we're actually going to see our first double manipulation in this room, because Lubricant not only drops its soul, it drops an excellent katana multi-hit weapon, the Muramasa. In fact, it's the best katana in the game. Going for 2 manipulations is doable. There are a couple of spots in other categories where that happens, but these are obviously much tougher than single manips.
Gotcha. So I guess we'll just go ahead and play the manip.
Pause buffer here. Get the timing perfect.
Wow. So both the soul and the weapon are dropped at the same time.
Isn't that crazy?
I mean, that is so cool because this game has its unique, system, like the soul system being a thing, but also enemies having like unique drops. Like the fact that you're able to manipulate both at the same time to get 2 amazing, both a soul and a weapon is really, really nice. And we're going to be seeing that weapon right away, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yes, this is the choice for Balor. We used to get the Levitane sword, which was way out of the way. But as you're going to see, we've got, again, some small combat optimizations for this fight. Chewie's going to get the best cycle possible. Here we go.
That is a lot of damage numbers.
You can get double and even triple hits, and Creaking Skull does a lot here. Yeah, so you'll notice, if you want to pause, Balor moved from phase 1 to phase 2. This is now the laser beam phase. It's also at the very bottom of the screen. That's as far down as it can go. That's important, because if it goes up too much, you can no longer get easy triple hits, and that loses time. So Creaking Skull is invaluable to make sure that phase 1, you can skip a full cycle if you get the right number of Creaking Skull hits in.
Wow.
So this is a perfect fight. You can't save any more cycles, at least not with current strats, over this fight. And phase 2's also got less defense, so yeah, it's over pretty quickly.
Wow. Yeah, immediately taking advantage of all the new weapons and souls and stuff to do crazy damage. And all of this is for, I don't know how to read Japanese, but I know that that's the Bat Soul.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
The break the game soul.
this has been known for a very long time, that the bat soul is quite a bit broken.
And there's actually, again, some very new tech. What I'm going to explain here, it seems really obvious, and like it's one of those things where why weren't we doing this before? But it's like a few weeks old. A way to make these bat zips way more consistent. So let's pause here. What you want to do to zip is, first of all, you want to get into the wall, which requires you backdash and turn into a bat and then crouch in a specific way, and the game kind of pushes you in 1 pixel. Doesn't sound like a lot, but 1 pixel is all we need here.
Oh, sorry, spoilers.
No, it's quick. No,
spoilers.
It's quick.
I just wanted to get the freeze frame. This is what it looks like when you're pushed into the wall.
Exactly.
If you zoom
try
in,
to just walk into a wall and turn around, you'll be 1 pixel further to the right than what you see right here. So we are actually technically 1 pixel out of bounds. So from here, what you want to do is press backdash, bats, and forward on the same frame. And you'll notice that Chewie is attacking here. This is the new tech I mentioned. If you attack, you don't have to buffer right. So instead of pressing 3 buttons on the same frame, it's only the 2 shoulder buttons, which, especially if you're playing on a controller, like doubles the consistency of manips like this, or zips like this one.
wow.
So, yeah,
when
with this tech, yeah, go ahead.
When you say that out loud, that makes so much sense. Why what you said earlier, like why weren't we doing this before? Because I've tried to do zips like this, and hitting 3 inputs, pressing right, pressing backdash, and pressing transform, all on the same frame is not the most consistent thing to do. Top runners have been able to do it for a long period of time, but making it even more consistent is always a good thing to see in a speedrun like this. But yeah, that's what it looks like. This has
been one of those tricks that's always been easier on keyboard, because I mean, if you're playing on a controller, your shoulder buttons are going to have less wear and tear than your D-pad. So you've got to like press the shoulder buttons slightly before the D-pad input to make it so they're all at the same time. They're all registering at the same time.
Yeah, like
so this trick's really
perfect.
easy on keyboard.
Yeah.
But now with this attack and then press forward LR, it's gotten pretty consistent. And we're going to see some perfect zips here. That's 1. We got a couple more to go.
It's also important to note when you're zipping, the game just kind of pushes you because it's trying to push you back in bounds. The direction that it pushes you is dependent on what exactly? I forget.
It actually depends on which direction you're holding. So you want to be holding forward, it'll push you left, and you can press left and it'll push you in the other direction.
So it's the opposite direction of what you're holding.
Right. And then you can untransform it and it'll always push you upwards.
Gotcha. And that's how you get back in bounds right here.
Yeah. So again, attack to buffer the right transform.
And then this is another
suspend. Yeah. And we suspend here for a specific reason. It's because we want to get pushed up just a little bit. And then we're going to do one of those crazy where am I going warps to get right by the claim.
And the reason this works is that the way that suspend works, if I'm remembering correctly, is it wants to reload you after your most recent screen transition.
Exactly.
Back where you were. So the most recent screen transition, it happens very quickly, so it's hard to say. I'm going to try and find the right frame. You're actually transitioning from out of bounds. So,
right, so it'll put you right there on the left of where the bat currently is as human Soma, which is important because then you can immediately transform again to zip a second time once you load.
Yeah, the zip is only possible because of the reloading from the suspend.
Well, about that.
Oh, just kidding.
Pause here. This is the one real room for improvement. And I mean, this category is impossible. You got to get the sub-pixel perfect, backdash boosted, flying armor skip. You got to get all the manips. You got to not get hit. You got to get the Balor perfect cycle. You got to have a good gargoyle room. And just basic things like backdash, speed, good short hops, everything's got to go right. But there is one more trick that would save a good amount of time here. And that is, instead of suspending here and loading, what you can do is go into the wall and hit the lubricant here. You manipulate the lubricant so that right as you zip in, you get hit by the spear, that'll push you up slightly, and then you can just zip automatically into the claim room. That saves like 6 seconds, 7 seconds. Kind of depends on how quick you're going.
Wow.
It's a good chunk of time, but I mean, that would require a true YOLO grind. I don't think anyone's in the mood for that. But yeah, I just wanted to mention That's perhaps the final frontier.
Is there footage of that somewhere?
Yes.
Okay,
I can send you a clip if you want.
Yes, please, because
Let
I
me make a
kind of
note.
want to show it either in the video or on stream right now. If you have the clip
Oh
on.
yeah, let me find one right now. Hang on.
Yeah. Because I'm sure stream wants to see that, because that sounds crazy. Because it would skip the whole needing to zip out of bounds, suspend, all of that stuff. 2 previous world records have done it. Oh. So did you give up going for it after a while, Chewy, because it just wasn't worth it?
Hold up. I gotta just sort by obsoleted runs here on SRC.
That's fine.
Got the lack. This is the one part where the lack of music has me feeling I gotta hustle.
Never.
Dead silence.
It's all good. Chewy says you never went for it on purpose, so you just kind of got lucky and got it. That's crazy.
Okay. Sorry.
It's all good. We're chilling. We're having a good time.
I think is it this 1126 might have been it.
The 1141, he says.
Oh, the 41. Okay.
Yep. Thank you, Chewy, for helping us out.
And I can timestamp this for you, DB. Hang on.
Yeah, no sweat. This speedrun is so cool. I can understand why it would be quite a bit of a grind to want to do world record attempts of this category, because this seems brutal.
Yes.
Especially for such a short category.
It's a reset fest at this point for sure. Now, here's the link. I just sent it to you in the DMs.
Gotcha. So this is what it looks like with the with that time save.
Isn't that just so dumb?
That is so cool. Wow. So yeah, you get the lubricant out of bounds, you zip into the lubricant. That stops you from getting pushed off screen and instead starts zipping you upwards.
Oh, by the way, the timing on this, it fluctuates. It's either 1 frame or a 2 frame.
Oh yeah, I bet. And then of course we end up here, which if we go back to the previous run, we'll talk more about this room in just a
I gotta point out again. I want you to imagine you're playing out of your mind. You get Bacillard Manip, you get Creaking Skull Manip. Your backdashes are clean. You get the 5-10% flying armor skip. You get the backdash Manticore zip. You get the perfect Manticore Manip. You get a great armor fight. You know, perfect Manticore strats, all that. Good gargoyle room. You survive. The patterns are acceptable. You get the double Manip. You get the perfect cycle on Balor. Your zips are looking clean. You're ahead of your PB by a couple of seconds. It's going to be tough to win. You go for that trick. The 2 frame, got to get the good lubricant Manip. You fail it. You have just wasted a run that'll take you like another week to get. It's just,
yeah.
You know, when it comes to speedrunning, I really am a big believer that when a category gets optimized, the most important skill in speedrunning is patience. Patience and persistence.
Oh yeah.
I think this category shows why. But anyway, sorry, just...
Yeah,
I've been here, I've known this frustration.
There's definitely, especially the shorter the category gets as well, it becomes like certain risk rewards get like kind of shuffled around, because you wouldn't be going for like half of this many like strict inputs in a category that's like, you know, an hour long, right? Because then you're wasting an hour every reset versus, you know, a speedrun that's 10 minutes long, you can do probably in a single day, like what? Like 20 resets, 30 resets, depending on how early they are. Versus an hour-long speedrun, you maybe have like, you know, just a handful of resets for that day. So it changes the dynamic a lot when you have a speedrun that's this short and this optimized. But anyways, back to the speedrun.
That's a fancy-looking sword icon right there.
Yeah. Is there a reason why the text looked like that? Is that just what it looks like for 1 frame? Where you just paused it specifically on the frame where it looks silly?
Oh, I've actually never seen this before. Yeah, that's just a glitch frame.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then the water like loads in differently. That's fun. But yeah, that sword does look pretty shiny.
This is the Claim Soleil. I know that's not how it's pronounced, but it's how it's pronounced within the Castlevania community. It's the Claim Soleil. This is a holy sword. It's a super secret weapon. You're supposed to go behind the waterfall in vanilla with a rush soul to find this. And even it's a secret within a secret, because it's like behind a hidden wall. So it's supposed to be overpowered.
Yeah,
Even at a relatively low level, this is going to be more than enough to win with.
that's definitely the selling the strategy guide weapon right there. Or hey, find this super secret overpowered weapon. Just buy our strategy guide.
There are extremely small hints, but very few people find the waterfall skip on their own.
So we're doing some more zips super, super fast. In fact, I'm even just going to play this at like half speed just so we can kind of like watch it at a reasonable rate.
Mm-hmm.
So we get the claim, like we said, equip it right away, suspend the game. This is the same technology, same tech as before, where we load back in out of bounds because we arrived from this area from out of bounds. So the suspend puts us back out of bounds. This one, you actually have to walk into the screen transition, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and interestingly, there's like, it's not solid wall here, or you get pushed upwards. Conveniently, you can actually walk forward into the next wall. Otherwise, this wouldn't work.
And then I remember this positioning is relatively precise to zip back to go into, oh my God, it happens so fast. This room, even at half speed, we're in this room for like 3 frames.
Mm-hmm.
Screen transition again.
You can just mash to untransform and get up here.
Yep. And this is, where are we exactly?
This is the chaotic realm, hence all of these sepia tones. This is the very end of the game. It's all black and white, but we're not going to be here for long.
Yeah. How do you get here normally again?
You have to fight Julius. You have to get the true ending on Graham. You gotta fight Julius in the garden, and then through that secret door, you get warped into the chaotic realm at the very end of the game. Remember, you like go through the eclipse.
And in order to kill Graham, you need the 3 souls, right?
Yeah, Flame Demon, Succubus, and Giant Bat, the Dracula souls, have to be equipped first.
Mm-hmm. And this skips all of that. So, like, in a glitchless version of the run, you're saving, like, how much time? Like, tens of minutes.
Tens of minutes. I mean, glitchless is 26 something right now.
Wow, that's actually pretty darn fast. That's faster than I expected.
No, honestly, yeah, even glitchless. That shows you how much time is really saved through manipulations specifically. Because we don't consider manipulations a glitch. So even glitchless is pretty quick.
Wow.
All right, so one more. Again, these zips have been perfect. And you'll notice on that last zip, Chewie prefers not to go for the attack cancel. I gotta find a better name for this. I don't know what you call this. The attack buffer.
Yeah.
It's just a raw zip. You get into the wall and you press all 3 buttons on the same frame. So, I mean, you can lose a run. Any one zip, if it goes badly, can kill the run. Because not only does it waste time, it wastes MP, which we're going to need here for the final fight. So these were perfect zips.
And, oh yeah, that zip just lands you into the final fight. This is the final boss.
It could not be more convenient. So Chaos here has got 2 phases. Phase 1, you're going to see the claim in action. This is all about trying to get multi-hits. The claim can only hit once, but it has enough reach to strike 2 or even sometimes 3 statues with 1 swing. That's the goal. And Chewie is taking damage on purpose, both for the iframes, so you can deal a little bit more damage quickly, and also because we're trying to get that lubricant boost as high as possible.
Something to note as well is these statues, they actually seal away your souls, right?
That's right. So you can't use Creaking Skull, and lubricant doesn't come into effect until the yellow statue is down.
And
kind of a gimmick.
That little target that's on the screen here, you don't want to get hit by that no matter what, right? Like that's
so that'll drain your MP.
Mm-hmm.
We just talked about how important that was. That's why you want the zips to go well. If that hits you, PB is pretty much dead.
Yeah. So not only are you having to manage your HP to get it low enough to be useful with the lubricant boost, you also have to dodge that like little target thing and not lose too much HP where the point where you're dying. So very, very precise. Like I cannot stress how incredibly difficult this is. Like this is one of the reasons why I put off like playing Aria like casually like with the randomizers and stuff like that, is this boss is just such a pain to handle all of
This
the
is
stuff
the
at the same time.
greatest boss in the history of action platformers. And look, you gotta just trust me on this. I'm going on the tangent. I was planning this from the start. I love Chaos so much. Chewy, I don't know if we'll have the same exact feelings as I do, but we'll agree with this. Despite the fact that we've played this game for like thousands and thousands of hours, fought this boss thousands of times, it never gets old. And that's for better and for worse. Any run can kill you here. It doesn't matter how well you've played, you need to be playing on point, you have to have great reactions, and you're hoping that Chaos cooperates. Because this Bone Dragon here does what it wants. It just does what it wants. It'll come up from the bottom and just hit you with like 5 frames to react. It's brutal. But the main gimmick here is you want to break the eyes. The real boss is the core, but if the eyes are defeated, that'll lower the defense of the core. So now Chewy takes one final hit, gets down to 12 HP, that's maximum lubricant boost. This is as high as it goes. Any hit kills.
And there's so much crap on the screen that can kill you.
Oh yeah, it's pseudo bullet hell. You gotta dodge the orbs, you gotta dodge the small orbs, you gotta dodge the thorns, the bone dragon.
And the eyeballs themselves, they have a hitbox as well, so you can't like touch the eyeballs.
Good point. Yeah, once they're down, you can head towards them, and they won't deal contact damage. But until then, they will kill you as well. They're also lethal.
But yeah,
and the core's got 3,000 HP, so claim doing 48 plus 72 with Creaking Skull. Yeah.
I just want to watch the whole fight again because it goes by so fast. Like it is insane how everything is managed. Wow. Yeah, you actually lose the HP off of the eyeball there to get into lubricant range. That's crazy. Yeah,
we only need to go for 3 eyes here rather than 4. That way we can get double hits on the core and the bottom right eye. 4 eyes would actually be slower here. It's one of the cool things about Chaos, like if you're playing the randomizer, depending on what your build is, sometimes it's optimal to kill 2 eyes, sometimes 3, sometimes 4. But yeah, for any percent, no 0 HP, 3 eyes is the best.
And just like that, we got Aria of Sorrow, no 0 HP, in under 11 minutes. It goes by so fast.
It's crazy. The wild thing is, if you allow the 0 HP glitch, you can beat this game in under 8 minutes.
And the 0 HP glitch is
a subject for another time.
Yeah, I don't think we're prepared to go into that.
But yeah, this run by Chewy is super impressive. It's I think one of the most entertaining speedruns of Aria to watch.
I mean,
it shows you all of the cool tricks except for that lubricant zip, but
yeah, I was gonna say from the outside looking in, it's like what can I even point at that was like, not perfect. It looks so incredibly clean. I'm sure
there was that killer mantle thing, and I noticed Chewy missed a single solitary short hop on Chaos 1. It's like close to perfect. It's really good.
From like a human performance perspective, like this is quite a clean world record and absolutely fantastic. Shout outs to Chewy for achieving such a fantastic run. But yeah, any final thoughts from you, Jupe, on the run as a whole, or anything that you wanted to explain in more detail? Now would be a great time to do it.
I swear to God, I just wish that flying armor skip was more consistent. It's just so sad. I mean, or put it earlier into the run. Whatever. Final thoughts. I like this category a lot. I do think, despite what we just saw, what we just talked about, this is actually, you gotta believe me, the most accessible category to get into Aria speedrunning, because you don't have to take this route. There are lots of ways you can adjust the difficulty, so you can go for Levitate instead of Muramasa, you can ignore lubricants altogether, and still get a really good time. Like if you just go for some of the manipulations, and you don't play super aggressive with lubricant, you can get like a sub 15 with a little work. So yeah, if you're interested in trying this, I think this category is a good one to start with. And yeah, Chewy's got some good tutorials on his YouTube channel.
Oh,
There's
I've
some
been
new
watching
stuff in
them.
there as well.
Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
watching those
So
tutorials as well, just to get an understanding of the game, and maybe do a little bit of speedrunning here or there eventually, maybe.
if you want a good breakdown on some of these tricks and like more into the nitty gritty than I got, that's a place to check out.
Gotcha. Can I get a link actually to Chewy's YouTube, perhaps?
Yes.
Because I would love to let the people know. I know I have a bookmark somewhere of it, but it'll take me a second to find it.
Hey Chewy, what's the story of your the puppy in your profile picture? It's a very cute pupper. Wait, I sent it to you in DMs, DB.
Oh, thank you. There it is.
Oh, it's not your dog. Oh my god.
Scammed. Oops. There you go. Definitely check out Chewy. Check out the world record on your own. Watch it on your own time because, you want to watch it all the way through. We stopped. But seeing it in like a single segment is definitely a different experience. You should check it out. Check out the tutorials, all that fun stuff. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for helping me understand because my small brain wouldn't be able to decipher all this.
Please. Look, if you didn't understand anything, it's because I did a bad job explaining it. Hopefully this was a little helpful. But yeah, I'm happy to answer any follow-up questions if you have them. It was great to talk to you.
The tutorials were updated 10 days ago.
Always great talking about my favorite game. I'll also mention, by the way, that we have some new developments in the works for glitchless and other speedrun categories like all bosses. So I think we're gonna have another resurgence in Aria speedrunning over the next 6 months. That's my guess. I think things are gonna get even more active in the near future.
Sounds good. Stay
tuned.
Yeah, that's really it's exciting to see this game get so much more optimizations, even though it is when did they come out? Like 2003, 2002?
2003.
Yeah. So quite an old game. Not as old as Soten, but still quite old and just as much depth, really. Like this is one of my go-tos for Castlevania games when I'm not playing Soten. Yeah, 20 years. Wow, actually 20 years old.
All right, well, DB, I'll not take up too much of your time here. I'll let you go. But yeah, great to be on.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out, and I'm excited to see to turn this into a whole YouTube video. It's gonna be fun. Alrighty, take it easy, dude.